Gus, the reigning champion of last year's sled dog race, explodes like a little bomb whenever Will tries to get close. Uncle Ned chuckled, saying a dog with real personality only has one master, unless you win its heart. Will eagerly hoped Gus would accept him. But Will had no time to win Gus, as Mom plotted selling the dogs. Especially Gus, as the champion, he's worth a fortune. Dad's sudden death cancelled their furniture orders, leaving them worried about penalties. Selling the sled dog seemed to be their only way out, a lifeline to save the farm. But Wolf firmly opposed this, clearly declaring that they were his precious babies and were strictly off limits to anyone. Maybe it wasn't important anymore, or maybe it never was, but ever since Dad left, I felt like I was fading away too. Every night Gus howled in sorrow, keeping Will awake and wondering how to lighten the family load, while dreaming of the freedom that college could bring. But deep down, he wanted to save the farm and the dogs that Dad left behind, until one morning when a ray of hope peeked through the curtain. His gaze fell on the race poster, form on desk Dad hadn't given up. The $10,000 prize. Will's eyes sparkled with excitement. He threw on his clothes and dashed out like a bolt of lightning to share his grand plan of entering the race with his mom. To his surprise, Mom replied, "I lost my husband. Do you want me to lose my son too?" It sounded like, "Do you want me childless?" Unable to convince her, Will rushed to Uncle Ned for help, only to hear, "Your dad might not have made it, let alone you who know nothing." Will frowned, saying, "Please, do you know? I've checked off all my dreams. Our hopes of living aren't enough. I haven't even dreamt of school yet." However, seeing the dogs run made me feel alive again. Yet Uncle still disagreed. There's only about 30 days left until the race. With no time for training and yet another refusal, Will could only plead with Mom once again, "I just want to feel Dad's presence. But now I can't feel it, yet often. A man's growth only needs a moment." Seeing her son's sincere eyes, Mom asked Uncle Ned at night, "Can Will really do it?" While Will was still asleep, Uncle Ned picked him up and hauled him into the icy outdoors, kicking off his intense training. To compete, freezing was essential. Watching her son shiver, Mom felt a twinge of guilt, but ultimately turned away. The road ahead would be much tougher and cold. Will could only curl up with the dogs for a cozy night. Little did he know, before dawn next day, Uncle woke him. Days before the race, you can only sleep 5 hours. In the days that followed, Uncle Ned put Will through an extreme training regimen. To stand out among competitors, Will had no choice but to sacrifice his sleep. He would have to build muscle, steely determination, and unyielding patience within a month, learning to embrace the darkness too. Running wildly under the moonlight, the most important thing is, on the racecourse, you can only trust your dogs. Time flew by, a month vanished in the blink of an eye. Will hardly paid his respects at his father's grave before boarding the train with a sled. Mom kept reminding him that though $10,000 isn't small, she earned for his safe return. Uncle Ned gifted a whistle summing Dad's melody, ideal for commanding Gus in need. Will, who'd never travelled far, suddenly felt scared. He wished Uncle could accompany him, to which Ned encouraged. "Trust the dogs, trust," he said. "When you confront the moment of fear, creativity will serve as your guidance." So, with his mother's worried gaze upon him, Will and the pup set off officially, sitting by the window and watching the world slip away. Suddenly struck by an inexplicable sense of loneliness, he realized each goodbye in life was a necessary step toward growth. From carefree childhood to farewells with parents, he embarked on an adventure into the unknown, pursuing a future full of possibilities. 3 days later, Will and the pups arrived at the competition's grand opening, stunned by its opulence. The host began introducing the competitors, champions from all around the globe, some from Norway, others from Iceland. Also, some from the USA, but that champion from Sweden, Berg, looked downright fierce and cunning. And this chubby fellow, Haber, was the event organizer. He started explaining tomorrow's agenda. The participants would depart from Winnipeg. The first to reach St. Paul Park would be crowned champion, covering a total of 846 kilometers without even mentioning the death race aspect. Just then, Will shouted from the audience, "I submitted my registration. Why can't I compete?" Haber asked him why he wanted to compete, and Will's answer had everyone in stitches. Every contestant was muscular, experienced, and backed by big businesses, while he was just a scrappy little nobody. Honestly, the organisers were worried a kid might get hurt midway and tarnish the race's reputation. So, Haber cleverly claimed late registration required an extra $10, and when Will looked at his $2, he thought, this is just embarrassing. Just as he was on the verge of being ejected from the competition, a reporter stepped forward to offer assistance. Haber initially didn't want to get involved, but the reporter warned this young man might very soon be engaged in a desperate struggle against the Germans. Further from home, not manly for a dog race. Where should he go? Fight dogs. What a boring race indeed. The genuine challenge lies in enduring the immense pressure from 200,000 furious readers. Ultimately, under pressure, Haber agreed to let Will compete, but the reporter's motives were far from altruistic. Thanks to years of news experience, they saw news value in Will. People were eager to know how far a 17-year-old could go. Even if he took a tumble along the way, that would still make for a big story, and this exclusive reporter could cash in on a promotion. All the contestants and their dogs stayed in the same grand hall, and when Swedish champion Berg's dog met Gus, they instantly started barking each other down.